in diplomacy, there are no permanent friends or permanent foes. There are only permanent interests. There is no such thing called soft power. Big countries like America, big countries like China realized that it is not soft power, not hard power that I mean, it is strategic power. We have to now give up this attitude of catching up. Something is done elsewhere, we have to catch up. In this catch-up game, you can catch up with smaller countries, you can never catch up with the bigger ones. Yeah. What we actually have to think about is how do we go ahead of the curve. Right. Today, when Cambodia and Thailand are fighting over a temple, they are going to Donald Trump for resolution. Why are they not coming to you? We need to invest more. And remember, our playground is going to be Indian Ocean tomorrow. Indian Ocean is the most happening region. We are going to have a competition with China in this region. Whether we like it or not, we are two countries situated in the same geographical region. We have same interests. We both want to be regional powers here in the same region. There's bound to be some amount of competition.
Hello and welcome to Strat News Global. You are on our monthly feature, Strat Talks. And today's guest is somebody who straddles several worlds. He is a thinker, he is a foreign policy specialist, political leader in a way, and RSS leader, also president of India Foundation, Ram Madhav. Thank you for coming and joining us for this Strat Talk and honoring our invitation.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So the occasion why we thought we'll invite you was your book, the new book that you have just published. This is the sixth book I'm told that you have written, but this is very interesting. The New World Order, 21st Century Global Order in India. And one quick read that I gave tells me that you've spoken about what the future trends are going to look like. You've spoken about 10 trends that are going to dominate. So why this book and why do you think these trends are going to be important?
Firstly, thank you for hosting me in this show. I know your show is very popular, at least among a particular section of audience I know. And incidentally, this book is also very relevant for that audience. So that's why I'm especially very thankful to you.
Thank you.
See, nowadays, in the last a decade or so, there is so much talk about, there has been so much writing, talk about a new world order taking shape, or the world order ending and all that. I also firmly believe that the world order is ending if it has not already ended, and a new order is taking shape. But to my knowledge, not many have so far attempted to give a shape to that new order. How would it look like?
Right.
I consider it very important to try and understand where the world is going for a very important reason. See, today we, in India, especially people like me who are on the ruling party side, we are very ambitious and also very, very, very hopeful about India's future as an important power in the world. If you are ambitious to play a role in the world, when the world is getting into a new form, first of all, you have to understand where the world is going. What will be the contours of that new world in which you have to operate if you really want to play a role. So that's why I attempted to highlight 10 important features of that new world, 10 important characteristics that will probably signify in this new world order. And what 10 things India should do if it is really serious about playing a role there.
And becoming a leading power.
Here is an opportunity for us to play and give a shape or direction to this new world.
Sure.
If only we want to do it.
Right.
If we don't want to do it also, the new world is going to come in anyway. But my effort was that we should try and understand that new world is taking shape and India has to get ready for that and equip itself for it.
Sure. We'll not give away those 10 trends that we're talking about. We want people to read this book. So generally, let me highlight 2 or 3 points that you've spoken about, the new trends that are coming in. One is that you've spoken about a new Cold War between the US and China. The second is, I thought, climate change and climate change induced challenges that are coming in. Third is technology. You've spoken about heteropolar world, which I found very interesting. So please explain heteropolar.
Oh, firstly, I said that, which everybody today notices, that the West is on a decline. When I say decline, obviously I'm not saying it will disappear or anything like that. It will still be a very important power in the world, but its influence will definitely reduce. Correspondingly, we also witness the rise of China. These two important features everybody understands. But between them, there is a Cold War brewing. We all also see that happening. But the only difference about this Cold War from the one that we had seen in the last century was that in the last century, these two big powers were fighting between them. It was a Cold War between them. But the others were either silent or they were a part of that Cold War politics.
Grouping, yeah.
Cold War politics. You are in this bloc or that bloc. This time, you will see a very different world where there will be a number of middle powers which would stay out of this Cold War. You know, if you recall, what former Prime Minister of Singapore wrote in an op-ed in Foreign Policy in 2019. In 2019, 6 years ago, he said, we know that you both have big issues between China and USA, don't drag us in. We don't want to be a party to any of this. Today, there are countries which will stand up and say, no, we don't want to be a party to your Cold War. So you are into a multipolar world where two big poles will fight, but others need not join. Right. But this is not passivity. We will all play a very important role. We will be away from the Cold War, but we will play an important regional role. So I see the future as a future where regional powers will play a bigger role than any global powers, one or two global powers. So from unipolarity, or before that the bipolarity, we are entering into that multipolarity. Sure. But I also see that it's not going to end there. In this new world, because there is no dominating global power, even these regional powers won't be able to sustain this whole new order. So many others will come in. Today, you see big tech corporations. They are more powerful. I always say this example. I went to Hungary for a conference. Viktor Orban delivered the keynote, the very powerful prime minister of that country. Correct. And in Europe, one of the powerful leaders. Right. His first sentence was, my country faces a big threat from George Soros. Now, who is George Soros? Yes. Is he leading any country? Does he have an army? No, he's just an investor. Correct. But he can be a challenge to sovereign nations today. So is Elon Musk. Now, today Elon Musk is challenging Donald Trump, the president. Yeah. So we are entering into a world where tech companies, NGOs, in India, at least in my party, in my movement, people tell you, biggest threat is coming from Ford Foundation. What is Ford Foundation? How is Ford Foundation a threat to a nation, a sovereign nation? Correct. But that is the real world we are entering into. India is a big country. Probably we don't really appreciate the seriousness of this challenge from these forces. But take the case of small countries. Yes. Which depend on their food supplies on NGOs. Right. If USAID stops funding them, countries will shiver. Yeah. So that is the kind of world we are entering into. That is what I called as heteropolarity. A new experience, we all have to be prepared for that.
Very well explained, I think. I think Surya, we were talking about his strengths, and maybe you have a...
So I was thinking, in all this talk of a new world order and all that, are we intellectually equipped, our foreign policy establishment, our political establishment, to come up with ideas and structures and a vision for how this will play out? What is India's role in it? Are we working along those lines?
I'm sure you can comment about it better than me, because you deal with so many people in the country, important people. I'm afraid we are not fully equipped to tackle the situation, although Prime Minister understands it, that the world that we will be facing 10 years, 15 years from now will be very different. For example, you mentioned about technology. What trade and capital was in the last century for countries to rise. Sure. In this century, it will be technology and capital. You may be a $5 trillion economy tomorrow, but if you are lagging behind in deep tech or frontier technologies, your 5 trillion is not going to help you. Right. It's not about how much capital you have today, how much technological advancements you have made today. You see, we have had of recent Operation Sindoor 4-day conflict. Countries which are very small, we were heavily dependent on them for supplies. And when a crisis situation came, for smaller things, we had to depend on them. Nowhere compared to our GDPs,
Right.
nowhere compared to our size. But they hold that key to technology. So I believe we have to now seriously think about it. We have to, of course, reach certain milestones in our economy, no doubt. We have to reach 5 trillion. But in fact, I openly said it, I don't mind saying it again. 5 trillion also is not going to take us anywhere. For India's size, we have to be at least a $10 trillion economy if we really want to play a role. But more importantly, more than economy, it is technological R&D where we are severely lagging. Prime Minister has the vision. Prime Minister repeatedly emphasizing he started semiconductor mission 3 years ago, 2021. He started quantum mission last year. He allocated 1 lakh crore for R&D this year.
Yes.
But should only government do all this? And I don't want to name the companies. India's largest, multinational companies that we have, Indian companies, 1%, 2% they spend on R&D.
R&D.
Not even 1%, I would say. I can give you figures. Somebody whose balance sheet is 1,50,000 crores spends less than 50 crores on research.
Which is
How does this country catch up? Look at the world where countries are progressing. That is because one IBM, one NVIDIA, one company spent, NVIDIA is today as big as our own economy. It is a $4 trillion company.
Exactly.
We are a $4 trillion economy. So I think there your point is very important. We need to understand that we have to do a lot of catching up. We have to, not just government is trying, but the whole country approach is what is needed.
That's right, absolutely. People, have to come up, companies have to come up, the whole of nation approach.
Universities, our academic institutions.
Academia has to
no
come
R&D happens.
No R&D.
Very little happens.
Very little, exactly. Ram, you wanted to ask something.
You mentioned that we are lagging behind technology. Could it be that it is partly due to protectionism on the part of the government? People have become complacent.
I really don't blame the government for it. Government is trying to do its best to encourage. Because you deal with defense in a big way, big time you deal in defense. We have entered into a new era in defense production also. From big companies era of big companies like Lockheed and others to startupization. Today, startups are the future for defense technology also in the whole world. That's why Prime Minister is putting a lot of emphasis on startups and startups taking up bigger responsibilities and all that. India has a success story in startups, obviously. We have actually around 250 startups which have been able to raise huge investments. But is that enough? Is enough happening? I still doubt. The problem is, one of course is our bureaucratic setup. We have a lot of regulatory systems in place. How much encouragement startups get, how much freedom startups get. In India, failure is never taken positively. But the startups by very definition is that you attempt 5 times, you may fail 5 times, you will succeed the 6th time. Are we giving that scope to our startups?
That's right.
Or if he comes up with a product, don't like, you dismiss him.
Yeah. And you also sometimes encourage, what I have seen in the defense sector, since you mentioned defense, is that you give them the first tranche or first encouragement, but there is no follow-up, which they get bought out by foreign companies.
Oh yeah, in fact, our unicorns, I mentioned about 240, 250 of them,
Right.
145 of them were taken over by the foreign venture
Investors
capitalists and
and venture
investors and all
capitalists,
that.
yeah, exactly.
So even if we are trying to do R&D, ultimately it is going to a foreign company.
And technological sovereignty is what we should aim for actually
Yes,
as a nation.
data, technology, these are going to be very crucial.
AI is going to be very crucial, but this is what is happening, and the principal scientific advisor was here in our studios like you are, and he spoke about the quantum mission, the AI mission, where government is really putting a lot of effort. There is a Prime Minister's Scientific Advisory Council which is sort of looking at that entire sector, what to do for deep and emerging technologies. But today's foreign policy is also dependent on how our bureaucrats can deal or I would say negotiate technological sovereignty or technological discussions with other people. So I think Surya's question there was also about whether our bureaucracy is also keeping up with the demands of the new diplomacy.
Yes, I mean, the challenge lies at multiple levels. Bureaucracy, right from there to academics to even industry to ultimately to the startups also. Where, in fact, you mentioned about principal scientific advisor
Yes.
coming on your show also.
Right.
With all humility, I want to say something here,
Yeah.
which should be taken positively by
No,
my
of
own
course.
leadership also. Of course,
Of
not
course.
you also.
Yeah.
See, we have to now give up this attitude of catching up. Something is done elsewhere, we have to catch up. Now, in this catch-up game, you can catch up with smaller countries, you can never
Not
catch
with
up
the
with the
big
bigger
ones.
ones. What we actually have to think about is how do we go ahead of the curve.
Right.
Now, I give you an example. Today, you talk to any defense leadership, they will say we are investing heavily on drones. How much you are investing in anti-drone technologies?
Very cool.
Drones you probably can manufacture at some point. Today we can't do it. We can only assemble today.
Yes.
But today's challenge is to China. There was a news item 1 week ago that they are going to position 10 million drones along India-China border or India-Tibet border, whatever you want to call it. Now, how do you want to have 10 million drones on your side to position against them? No, what you need is counter drone technologies.
Sure.
We don't have. Do you know, with all humility, again I'm saying, we don't have leisure technologies in India.
No, not yet. The directed energy weapons are not there. Leisure technology is not
You
there.
need great research into that area.
Right.
You need startups to develop those technologies. If a technology startup is coming forward to do something in leisure, you should invest more in that. He may fail for first 2 years, but give him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is where I think right from our scientific establishment to all others have to change the whole attitude.
Sure.
I don't want to catch up.
Correct. I will set the agenda.
I will go a little one step forward. No, that's what China did.
Yes.
China and USA have a very important policy, advantage in the sense that there is complete civil-military fusion.
That's right.
There is nothing called civilian research and military research separate.
Sure.
Everything is integrated. Whatever IBM or NVIDIA does is always available to CIA and American Army. Same is the case in China. But in our case,
Silos.
silo is so much since our principal scientific advisor mentioned about these missions.
Right.
May I tell you, in none of these missions there is any military personnel.
I know. In fact, that is one
But
of
these
the
are
things
all
that we asked.
quantum is to be used by military.
Military, exactly.
But there is no military guy sitting there.
So one private fellow came to me, some quantum thing that he has developed. I said, what is the application? He said, across. I said, have you spoken to people? He said, no, I've only spoken to military because I was in the military. That is how, you're right, absolutely. These silos have to be broken. But Ketki, maybe you wanted to ask him something.
I'm interested in knowing what you think of our foreign policy. Should it be more value based as there was this approach, or should it now become more transactional? Because that's also what we're seeing happen in the world today.
In fact, my India part starts with that question. I said, first of all, it should not be romantic.
Which was there earlier.
We have this whole problem.
Yeah.
You see, I studied international relations a little bit in my master's. So, one of the first lessons taught is diplomacy. In diplomacy, there are no permanent friends or permanent foes. There are only permanent interests. That is the bottom line when you do any foreign policy. What is your interest? Or what do you see as world's global interest? We have to have foreign policy on that touchstone only. This whole romantic approach about, slogans are fine. You can talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or earlier Nehru used to talk about many other things. That's fine. But when it comes to brass tacks, it has to be national interest and what you see as in the interest of the world. In that, I would say that our government, this current government, has tread that path very cautiously. Now, this issue of strategic autonomy, people have not invested enough on that. It was a very important aspect of our foreign policy and very correct and successful aspect. So, I would say to your question, values, yes, as long as your national interest is intact. Beyond that, you tell me, I am just asking as a simple Indian, who believes in Indian scriptures and all. In the entire Mahabharata war, the number of Kauravas who were killed, show me one person who was killed in the so-called righteous way. One Kaurava you show me. Was Duryodhana killed like that? Was Karna killed like that? Was Bhishma killed like that?
Everyone was
where was the values then?
Subterfuge.
But that is the norm in war. Dharma Yuddha means Dharma should win. That's the Yuddha you have to make. So what we believe as good for our country and good for the world is what we should pursue. We should not get into that whole romantic approach of human rights, civilians dying and all that. Yes, certain things we don't like.
While skimming through your book, I stumbled upon this phrase that you've used called Dharmocracy. Could you just elaborate on that, what it means?
So that was the last part, in fact. What I said was once you are able to achieve all the other things that I mentioned in the book, ultimately when you want to play a role in the world, what is that role? Is it the role that probably USA played in the last century? Or it's going to be different? If it is going to be different, what is the difference? What is the different thing that you are going to bring on the table when you want to play a role? On that we have to invest a little bit. For example, in that whole new discourse between the Western worldview and the Chinese worldview, which now today wants to dominate the global politics. Both have their own views about what kind of a world they want to make. West wants a liberal democratic world order. We are not against democracy, nor are we against liberalism. But the democracy of the Western model is what we want the world to continue with, or we want to add something more valuable to it. We have to think about it, because when democracy was introduced in India, Nehru was asked and Nehru said we will go with the Westminster model. That was Nehru's simple reply. But Gandhi gave a different reply. Gandhi said, you see, I don't fully understand the meaning of these Western words. Also, although he always understood, but he was so humble. But he said, for me, democracy in India should mean the weakest shall have as much power as the strongest. So he goes on to say that, you see, until you win the elections, you follow a majoritarian path. Once you win the election, no majoritarianism. In the West, it is understood as only majoritarianism. And it is not working. It's not delivering. Today, and I remember 20 years ago, Farid Zakaria wrote that book, Illiberal Democracies. He identified a number of democracies as illiberal. Today, authoritarian democracies, that's the order. You have a democracy, but you have a leader-driven democracy. So, democracy is also changing. Can we add something more to it? We have to think about it. In that, our experience, our value system can give you a lot of new insight, new ideas. Although it's getting too long, let me add one thing, because sometimes we feel that what is there for us to offer from our own wisdom. Last year, in 2024, World Economic Forum, the new messiah of world capitalism, unfortunately, they are the ones who brought capitalism. They are the ones who created all the havoc in the world. And they are the ones who are giving you new capitalism also. But they came out with a paper. It's called Stakeholder Capitalism. Now, what is stakeholder capitalism? They explain. They say, until now, we only knew shareholder capitalism. Like, if there is a capitalist venture, in that you should worry about your shareholders.
Correct.
Who is investing should get good profit. That has been our thinking, but in this new situation, we have to think not only of shareholders, but also of the wider society in which you operate. Now, what is this? This is what Gandhi said. In Gandhi's economics was, he used to call it Dharmocracy and a trusteeship. You are the owner of so much property, but you should go beyond your own interest and look about the interest of the whole society. Now, if World Economic Forum says that in a refined language, and say stakeholder capitalism, we are lapping up.
Right.
Why can't India give ideas? We can give, but unfortunately, we are very lethargic. We don't want to take much trouble. Lethargic not only in ideas, that's why I'm saying, why we are not able to do R&D? Not because we are not capable. For NVIDIA, 2 nanometer semiconductor chip is being manufactured in Bangalore, is being designed in Bangalore. and being done by all Indian engineers. We have the capability, but generally if you ask the industry, their view is, if I can import it at such a low cost, why should I invest on this?
Yes, I think that has been
The whole
one
approach.
of the,
So that
drawbacks.
lethargy we have to shed, we have to give up. What I meant by Dharmocracy was that in the end, when you enter that, reach that place of giving something to the world, what is that something that you give, you should be clear. China is clear. When they become the dominant force, they have an idea about what kind of world they want to build. Are we clear? We want to become Vishwaguru. But when you become Vishwaguru, what is it that you will contribute to the world?
What is it that you are offering? But that's a great point at which we'll take a short break. Don't go away. We are in a fascinating conversation with Ram Madhav on foreign policy, India's values, value-based foreign policy maybe, and what India should do in the chaotic world that is emerging right now. Don't go away. Journey to the roof of the world. A most holy pilgrimage. A rare chance. Call it detox if you want. Watch me, Nitin Gokhale, on the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra on Strat News Global. Welcome back to Strat Talks. We are in conversation with Ram Madhav. So, Surya wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah, in this entire thing about strategic autonomy and all, as we've seen, we seem to be alone. Even during Operation Sindoor, we were largely alone. Okay, during Pahalgam, there were expressions of support and all that. But at the end of the day, when the military thing happened, we were largely left to our own devices. You know, nobody in that sense came out to say, okay, we're with you. Even the Russians didn't.
Probably I disagree with you on that. As far as Operation Sindoor was concerned, we were definitely not alone. We had enough support in terms of military equipment and all from countries from where we were procuring the equipment. But it was a very short conflict, as we all know. It was just a 4-day conflict, and whatever support we needed, we already had it available. For example, S-400s came in very handy for us in this conflict. They were Russian-made weapons. We had weapons from Israel, we had weapons from Poland, several countries. But in the broader context of whether we are isolated, talking repeatedly about strategic autonomy, is it making us an isolated power in the world? I don't really think so. In fact, if you just recall, between 22 and 25 today, 2025 today, the number of countries that are standing are staying out of that big power conflict at the United Nations has increased today to almost 45-50 countries. You know, the latest Ukraine resolution at the United Nations, 40 plus countries said we don't want to take sides. Initially, we were the only one, or maybe a couple of others.
Yeah, exactly.
When we said in 2022 that we want to have that autonomy, we don't want to take sides. But once we took that stand, Saudi Arabia decided to stay out. They said, no, we don't want to take any sides. UAE, big countries like Indonesia. So about 40-45 countries took that cue from India, are today standing up. So strategic autonomy that way is a policy that today many countries want to try and to follow. But each country has its own compulsions, its own relationships with different countries. I don't think that we are isolated even on this Operation Sindoor for an important reason which Honorable Prime Minister explained yesterday. Almost all the countries in the world stood by India as far as the question of terrorism and fighting against terror is concerned. Everybody stood by us. We have this expectation that country after country should name and blame Pakistan directly. But may I ask you, did it ever happen in last 70 years? At least 30-40 years we have been suffering from this cross-border terrorism. Did on any previous occasion any country stand up and say Pakistan is to be blamed directly? They never said it. Even in spite of us providing audio evidences, in 2008. They all blamed terrorist organizations. They sent, FATF after Pakistan to ensure. But nobody really openly said Pakistan is to be blamed. Because that's how international politics works, that we understand. Today, probably because there is Modi ji, there is this expectation that now everybody should, Modi ji is such a strong leader, everybody should do it. Geopolitics is slightly different. But that doesn't mean either we are isolated. As I said, every country supported us in our fight against terror. Nobody, as Prime Minister, nobody asked us to stop the war. We ourselves took that decision. Secondly, nobody really supported Pakistan except those
Turkey.
countries, those known countries.
Yeah.
China, of course, Chinese weapons they used big time. And this time, Turkey. A new middle power, which is rising. That's why I said we are in that era of middle powers where countries like Turkey can take an independent stand. So, in that sense, our policy of this strategic autonomy, at a time when world is passing through this transition, this is big, on a lighter note, previous world order is called International Liberal Order or Liberal International Order, whichever way you call it. The new one that is taking shape is neither international because it's all nationalism driven, nor liberal because mostly conservatives are coming back to power in many countries. Unfortunately, it's a disorder also at the moment. So we are in the phase of the disorder. But the disorder I consider as the symptom of the change that is happening. That interregnum. So we may find the disorder. In that period of disorder, strategic autonomy is the best way for India to pursue.
The churn will bring out the best.
Let
the best and the strongest come out.
Let the world take a shape.
Correct.
Then we will decide what
And
policy to
what needs to be done. So in that context, let me talk about the work that you do as President of India Foundation. One of the conferences that now has got established and now is seen as a important voice is the Indian Ocean Conference that you do every year. And Indian Ocean, in your view, how important is it for the world and of course for India?
I discussed it in my India part in this book about one of the things that India should probably do, make a slight shift. We Indians by temperament are westward bound, westward ho. We believe that our interest of future is tied to the west. When we say west, Western Europe and America largely look up to those countries. Fair enough, we have had a lot of benefits from that approach, and today we have very strong ties with America and we have with UK, and we are concluding a free trade agreement with EU also. That's an important thing. But in the new order, you have to first rise as a regional power. In order for you to play a role in the world, you have to be a regional power.
Sure.
That region is what is this Indian Ocean. Not even Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific is a strategic construct.
Sure.
You work in the strategic
And
area
it's an
so
American
much.
concept, really.
You probably can say that. But it's a strategic construct.
Sure.
Indian Ocean is a natural construct. When you say Indian Ocean, many people don't understand that Indian Ocean is a group of 36 countries. Remember, European Union is only 27 countries. Indian Ocean as a region has millennia-old civilizational, historical, trade, people-to-people relations. Absolutely. Yesterday, the ambassador of Korea was with me. They fondly remember and want to do more about the princess of Korea coming and marrying the prince of Ayodhya. We have a memorial for them. Right. No, that's the kind of relationship you enjoy in this region. It's a very relationship based on goodwill. But have we really worked on it enough? Today, when Cambodia and Thailand are fighting over a temple,
on a Hindu temple,
they are going to Donald Trump for resolution. Why are they not coming to you? We need to invest more. Right. I'm not saying we have not done anything. We need to invest more on this region. We had Lookist policy in 90s, which has been upgraded to Actist policy after the taunt by Hillary Clinton in 2011. I don't know. Hope your viewers also remember that. In 2011, she came for that Observe ORF program in Chennai, in which she said, you have this Lookist policy, but you have been looking east only, not doing anything. So do something, act east. But after Modi ji became Prime Minister, we are working very actively with the eastern part also. We have upgraded our relationship with ASEAN to comprehensive strategic partnership today. in 2022. But have we done enough in that region? I still feel we have to do much more. There is a lot of goodwill, lot of positivity, and remember, our playground is going to be Indian Ocean tomorrow. Indian Ocean is the most happening region. 80% of world's container trade passes through this region. And any given day you take a satellite picture, hundreds of submarines are roaming around in this region. Military submarines. It has become militarily active. And for us, it is a lifeline. Sir, 95% of India's external trade depends on Indian Ocean. 95%. Because we don't have open road, land connectivity. So we need to invest more on that region. That is the idea with which we started this Indian Ocean Conference in 2016. Right. Many people ask that question, that why Indian Ocean, why not Indo-Pacific? Because we were reactivating Quad at that time. But our idea is that while Quad is an important strategic alignment we have to be active there. India's real playground is Indian Ocean.
Absolutely.
There we have to invest much more, and countries in the region look up to India.
They do. And I have attended, thanks to your invitations, I have attended many of these Indian Ocean conferences.
No, today I can tell you, when we, even if we don't announce it, we start getting calls from countries.
When is it going to happen?
When is the next one? We have to block the dates of our foreign minister.
That's right.
26 foreign ministers attended Muscat conference earlier this year.
Correct.
Next year we are hosting it in Mauritius. So it has become a good calendar event for countries in the region.
Right.
India and all other countries have to now invest more on this arrangement.
No, it's a great initiative in that sense. But Ram, you wanted to ask something.
We're talking about the region as a regional power. SAARC is dead in the water. BIMSTEC, nobody really knows what's going on there because of various things happening. And China now wants to launch a regional grouping. So what are your thoughts on that?
So precisely that's why I said that we have to probably pay more attention to it. We have one big problem in this region, namely Pakistan, that we all know anyway. So we wanted to bypass that challenge, so we started BIMSTEC, we went into BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC now, currently our Secretary General is there, India is leading that group. So we are trying to reactivate it. And earlier this year, BIMSTEC summit happened in Thailand, Prime Minister went. It's actually a very tragic story, you are right. BIMSTEC was started some 25 years ago or more than 25 years ago. In last 25 years, it met at summit level only 5 times.
Exactly.
Whereas SAARC, since you mentioned, SAARC in its life of same period, about 25 to 30 years, it had 18 summit meetings. So SAARC was that way more active.
Well, now it's dead.
But we have to reactivate BIMSTEC. I really take that point. But beyond BIMSTEC is the Indian Ocean region, where you have right from eastern side of Africa to ASEAN to the island nations in Western Indian Ocean, whether it is Seychelles or Madagascar or Maldives or Mauritius and all these countries, Comoros, all these countries. So we have to now focus more on these countries. Prime Minister is definitely investing a lot of his, a lot of focus on this region. He was there in Mauritius for the National Day. He was there in Maldives for their National Day. And the system also has to catch up. Even then, we are going to have a competition with China in this region. Whether we like it or not, we are two countries situated in the same geographical region. We have same interests. We both want to be regional powers here in the same region. There's bound to be some amount of competition. We have to manage that competition. Easiest way some of the Mandarins think is run away from here. Go to where there is no competition. Western Europe, there is no China competition. So go there. Everybody will welcome you because everybody is equally anti-China as you are. So easy to deal. But you have to really play a role where you have real competition, right?
Absolutely.
That is where I think we have to put more energies.
But we have some kind of a, how would I say, a goodwill in terms of our historical connection with the region, with China. Are we exploiting that?
So when Prime Minister introduced his nuances to foreign policy, he identified 5 areas. He called it Panchamrit. It started with Samman. Every Indian should get respect. India should get respect globally. Then Samvad, greater engagement, not just G2G or G2B. it has to be much wider at society level and all that. So if you see Prime Minister's calendar, on any given day, he meets with at least a couple of businessmen, noble laureate, academics, some experts, some dancers, some musicians. He keeps engaging with different types of people. When he goes on travels to other countries, he makes it a point to meet with the elite of that country, not just business leaders or political leaders. So that greater engagement he added. Two things generally we do. Economy and defense relationships is a normal thing we do in foreign policy. But the fifth thing he added is what you mentioned, culture. Until then in foreign policy, culture used to be considered as a non-secular issue. Now, I know there was an occasion when in Bali, that Bali University wanted teachers in Agama Shastra and Jyotisha. This was when Vajpayee's government was there. Routine reply went that we are a secular government, we can't provide that service.
Whereas we have strengths in that, I mean, as a country.
But today we sent those teachers from India, from Gujarat and elsewhere. Exactly. We sent those, they are teaching in they wanted that kind of thing. I was in Vietnam, they wanted, these Cham temples got activated now. In Cham region in Vietnam, temples got activated. They don't have priests. So they approached our embassy there asking if we can train priests, their priests, if they can send them to India, can we train them? Now, it's a dilemma for foreign policy, whether we should agree to train priests in India. Exactly. So, but in these areas, we are now taking some initiative using the cultural goodwill, historical civilizational goodwill as a means of promoting our foreign policy interests also. I think it's a very important dimension which we should pursue.
Absolutely, I think that's happening.
In fact, culture was one dimension, shared heritage is another. But what about soft power? Because we need to create a voice for India that reaches a wider audience. And in that sense, are you seeing us take those steps, or there's a lot more that can be done in that space?
Ketki, this before 1998, has anybody in the world, you were also active in media at that time, talked about soft power? One guy in America, Joseph Nye, coined this phrase. Today we are discussing so seriously. Big countries like America, big countries like China realized that it is not soft power. Not hard power, that will mean it is strategic power. You need to have that strategic power in order for you to use your soft power also and hard power also. Otherwise, what is the understanding about soft power in India? Punjabi khana,
Bollywood movies.
Bollywood movies. But before we coined this word soft power itself, they existed in all over the world. By themselves, they are not going to help you in any way. You know, China believed in the soft power theory under Hu Jintao.
Yes.
They started these Confucius institutes all over the world, 500 of them.
Nepal
They started. Now they realize it's not going to help. They are winding up one after the other. They are shutting them down.
10 years ago, that was a topic of discussion. That's a threat on our border.
Now China understands that my Confucius institutes are not going to be my strength. My technology is going to be my strength. Today it is ruling the world using technology. So that's why I said, certain things we become generally romantic, we catch some phrase and we hang on to it. We have to be very careful. Even on issues like Vishwaguru. I always say this, Vishwaguru, we can't declare ourselves as Vishwaguru.
People have to say.
The world has to say, no?
What you're saying is essentially speak softly but carry a big stick.
Yeah. Yes. But you have to understand what is my power. That is the strategic power I am saying. That strategic power we have to develop. In that, if you can use soft power, use it. But soft power by itself is not a power.
No, absolutely. That's true. Any thoughts before we wind up, Surya?
No, I was just generally thinking the way even utilization of soft power, you think that is something which a government should do, or it's better left to, society or cultural organizations and so on to do it?
Oh yes, I mean, obviously it is, government has very limited role in it. It is society which naturally has to do it. What is in real sense strategically soft power, if you ask me, what is the strategic soft power we have? I would say diaspora.
Which I think the Prime Minister has identified right at the beginning.
He understands. That's why he initiated. You know, when I was involved in the process right
the
from the
first
beginning,
one that you
first
did,
3 years I handled that initiative about diaspora.
Right.
What we thought at that time, Prime Minister's thinking was that this diaspora is there, it is at the most doing some remittances to India. Beyond that, what is its role? They are, of course, they are promoting Indian khana, they are promoting Indian music and all that. But what is it that I am getting as a country?
Yeah.
So then he said that, look, two things they have to do. One, they have to be active in the public life of their host country. If you are in Australia, you don't have to only say Modi, Modi. That you have to anyway love Modi ji, you do that. But what are you doing in Australian politics? You are the citizen of Australia, you have to be an active participant in the public life there. Number two, being an active member, how do you strengthen the relationship between our two countries? Between the host country and your home country.
Absolutely.
So that is where that software, diaspora software, can be used in a big way. That Prime Minister understood. And I can tell you today that has been a big help to us in our foreign policy.
Absolutely.
Prime Minister, that one initiative
Right.
has been very helpful. Today, you go to any country, Indian community is so very active in local politics today.
The feedback is so important from them because they are locally active.
No,
the
they
diaspora.
are very active.
Exactly.
In fact, last week on the Capitol Hill, some Indian guys reached out to more than 70 congressmen and discussed with them in detail about Operation Sindoor. It was their own initiative about terrorism, the threat that India is facing.
Exactly.
That's the kind of activity we today are able to generate from the diaspora.
So that's a great thought on which we need to conclude this conversation, and I think that also sums up the new world order which is emerging, which is not yet fully taken shape, but India needs to be the main part or a main driver to shape this world, even as a middle power or a regional power. Thank you very much for the great insights. We are really privileged to have you and listen to your insights because you travel around and you meet different people. I think my editors would also be very happy to benefit from what we have discussed. So thanks very much for coming.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.